Hey everybody, thanks for joining me on my channel today. It's the last day of the record day scramble, but I'm not going to talk about any of that. And actually, I'm going to talk about, or start out talking about a disturbing trend that I keep seeing. It's actually discouraging a lot of people from being a part of the vinyl community. One of which is all these mobile fidelity bragging and UHQRs and one steps and all this stuff, and it's actually very off-putting because people are actually using them as status symbols, kind of like women do with these Louis Vuitton purses and Fendi and Gucci and all this kind of stuff. When in reality, this should be about the music. I do realize that some pressings sound really good, and actually I really like Scott over at The Pressing Matters. He actually talks about how that does, and he's not talking about, how much money he spent on his system or how much this is, or, believe me, I mean, it's like there's less than one, the ones that are doing the UHQRs and the mobile fidelities and all this stuff, they've got $1,000 system. These people who I'm sitting there talking about have eked over into the vinyl community from the audiophile community, and they're actually coming in there and almost wrecking it because they're making it out like if you don't have, a double mono block setup with, it's cost $20,000 each amp, and then a $10,000 DAC and $300,000 speakers, then you're missing out. And believe me, I don't have a very inexpensive system. My system is actually, it's been put together for a reason over years. And I can hear incredibly well. I play 7 different instruments. So I have a very musical ear. And believe me, most of what you're hearing on these UHQRs and the mobile fidelity and stuff, people aren't going to hear that. They're not going to, unless somebody stands there and picks out and starts picking apart these things. Everybody's jumping up and down about, has to come from original master tapes and all this kind of stuff. Believe me, most of everything that you're hearing is done through digital processing somewhere, somehow. And unless you're getting way back into these old jazz titles and stuff like this. But most of the stuff I'm listening to, even though it's come back through to get, these CDs going into vinyl, that's already been digitized, and it's usually it's digital it's direct to digital. It comes digitally out of a microphone into through the mixing board and into a digital processor that actually then it kicks it out into a lathe. But it's already been digitally processed. So to sit there and be all this pure this and pure that I think it's pure nonsense. And it's actually, it's discouraging people from getting into this hobby, which is not what we want to be doing. We want to actually encourage those to come in and enjoy this hobby. But I tell you, if most people are running around with $1,000 setup, $1,000 stereo, and they're not going to go out and spend $100 or $150, which is a 10th or a 15th of what their system costs them, and then hear a big difference or hear any difference, because then that would mean that you would have to have an original copy or at least 2 copies to actually balance and check against which one is which. So I think this is outrageous, and people need to stop this. They need to stop, and also these people like Chad Kassem and stuff like that. I hate using names like that, but these guys are marketing geniuses, and they're making millions off of people. But believe me, 20,000 copies of Kind of Blue and 40,000 of Michael Jackson. Really? Are you serious? And I mean, that's just taking advantage, and it's fear of missing out. It's making people think that, and then also it actually is promoting this flipping craze, which has gotten out of control too, because people are going out buying up these things, and then they turn around and hold them for a long enough time, so they're all gone, and then they go after the people who are trying desperately to build a nice, collection. All the while, I don't have walls and walls of records, but I don't have any filler in my setup either. Everything I have is a really amazing copy. And if it's not, I get rid of it. But I mean, I have a lot of OGs in my collection, and I like it that way. But I have something, a reference, and then I only get like a Mobile Fidelity or something on a title that I really know very well, and I really like it a lot. Like the latest one that I think I got was Carole King. And that's a classic album, the Tapestry album, classic. And that's never going to go anywhere, but it's amazing. I can hear differences, but I mean, I'm playing this through $6,000 speakers, so it's not the same as if somebody's, buying, a $100 album or $150 album, and they're playing it on, on a $200 or $300 turntable. You're not going to hear any kind of spectacular, they're sitting in the room kind of experience. And to promote your product like that, and you're going to feel like they're sitting right there between your speakers, is disingenuous at best. So anyway, this leads me into what I was really starting to go for, and Barack P. Dub beat me to this idea this morning. Because I've had this actually sitting on my desk, and I just haven't gotten all of it together, but I've got to do it now. But it's about one of my favorite recording labels, and that's Music on Vinyl. And Music on Vinyl is doing stuff that's very, very, it's well beyond what's going on in the industry, where there's a lot of mistakes, there's a lot of warpage, there's banged up corners, there's, and then there's the what do I say, the need to get it right so it looks like it's an authentic piece, and one of which I've recently got jumped all over about was this copy, which I thought was really masterfully done. It's beautiful. And great hype stickers there and all this kind of stuff. And this sounds incredible on my system. Sounds amazing. And but everybody, of course, jumps on you and says, well, it's not a one-step, or it's not a UHQR and all this kind of stuff. But believe me, the attention to detail on this piece is incredible. And even to the label, and nobody's going to sit there and tell me what my ears know when I hear this. And I listen to it, and it sounds amazing. But Music on Vinyl actually does, they're always poly sleeves, polyline sleeves. They always have a nice, probably about 3 mil sleeve that comes on them with the hype sticker and all this kind of stuff. And they do such amazing work. I mean, sonically, I've not heard any problems. I haven't gotten any issues with shipping and the product being damaged or anything. This is another one. This, and you can see the hype sticker on here. That's beautiful. And this is one of my favorite rock bands, and this is heavy rock. And the guy who started this, actually, his management called me, and I photographed them live on their very first tour, which was their tour stop, which was Orlando, at Hard Rock. And the leader of the band's name's Mark Tremonti, and it's amazing stuff, amazing. But the great gatefolds. Like I said, there's nothing left to chance on these things, and these are spec'd by Mark. That's Mark right here, and that's the lead singer, Miles Kennedy. But he went and did another one, and then these are direct to digital. They are digitally processed. They're digital mic and everything else like that. believe me, you're not going to hear anything but amazing music if you get one of these. And I can tell you that for a major experience. I've seen them live and I know what they're doing, but like, look at the detail of this embossed cover. Now, Tim over at the University of Vinyl did something called, I think it was, what it touch, the touch of the records and the texture and stuff like that. There's nothing I've seen anything that looks close to that. But look at these things. I mean, there's no way you're going to tell me that the quality of the UHQRs and all this stuff is so vastly different that I should pay 3 to 4 times what that costs. It's ridiculous. And just because you've put a wood dowel there and you've encased it in some fake leather and made a box that's 3.5 inches wide and you have one record in there, that's ridiculous. This is all marketing. And I think that this actually is very deleterious to the industry as a whole. Now here's another one that I got, and it sounds incredible. It's a mono version. Are you experienced? And this is the European one. But you see this right here, approved by the Hendrix family. And this is absolutely amazing. It's like they're sitting in here. So like I said, there's no way you're going to sit there and try to hoodwink me into believing that this is that you gotta do this. And it's like these right here. It's like these are 2 more, and the detail and everything is perfect on these things. It's exactly the way it's supposed to be. All right, so that's here's one more. It's Jamiroquai. And these things are, like I said, the detail of these is just it's so amazing. So anyway, that's what I want to talk about. And Paul he's had a couple of issues with a couple of the music on vinyl recordings that he's gotten, and mostly it's cosmetic. But I told him I wrote on his channel today that he might want to check where the distributor he's getting them from, because the distributor I'm getting them from, spot on, perfect. Everything's great. Let me throw in this at the very end of this. I found this girl. Her name's Amber Bain, and she goes by the group called the Japanese House. And this stuff is beautiful. It's actually 45 RPM, but this is an EP that she did, and it's beautiful. There's a song on there called "Saw You in a Dream" that's just incredible. She's a real artist. This girl, she's really fun to actually listen to some of her what she talks about on some interviews that I've seen. But this is the first full-length album that she did, and it's amazing too. She's actually very interesting because she plays the guitar, and she plays upside down and backwards because she's left-handed, and she plays, that's just the way Hendrix did. So anyway, I just wanted to throw those things out there. Check out the Japanese House, and don't kill me too much in the comments about my rant. I do believe that some of the audiophile guys need to stay in their lane and stop trying to try to make us feel like we need to get these certain pressings, or we're not worthy, or whatever. It's all hogwash. And believe me, like I said, these are the same ones that say you can't use tone controls on your stereo, which is ridiculous. I've got musical processors behind me, and I have an equalizer right here, and I shape my room, and I shape the sound of these things to my liking. That's what this has to really come down to. And I think everybody needs to come back to that center of that. It's music is a personal thing to you and to your sound, and that somebody else has to say that this is your recording is basically saying, they're saying that this is the only recording to have, and that basically if you don't think that, then you don't know what you're talking about. And that's their inference. Most of the time they don't say that out and out, but they're inferring that. So anyway, don't fall for it. Recognize there are many, many alternatives out there, and there's some really great pressings out there you don't have to pay a fortune for. All right? Thanks a lot. We'll talk to you soon.